So for me, it was only one option: quit, do something of your own. Practices from scratch, ran million dollar programs, transformed multi-billion dollar government organizations, and still feeling, am I good enough? So I think the problem was more on not able to have that confidence that I have enough, whatever I have, I'm good enough to have this role.
And if you don't believe in yourself, it's very difficult for you to have somebody else believe in you. So if you're a business owner, to buy your stuff, but if you're interviewing for a job, for them to hire you. So
we're all teaching the same thing. It's showcase your skills and abilities and competencies. And can you tell stories? Are you fun to work with? Those types of things. So
if you like, I'll share with you some real good, powerful secrets of powerful interviews.
Oh, yes.
We love secrets. Welcome to another great episode of the How to Get a Job podcast. And today we have a special treat for you. He's in the future. And what I mean in the future, he is currently in Australia. So as we record this today, he is already one day ahead. So we know we're going to be fine if you're listening to this. We're going to be talking to a former IT executive and Australia's top ranked career coach, Ehsan Ali. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Daniel. Thanks, Ali. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, we're so excited to have you.
We're excited to have you here. I know me and you have connected before. We've been kind of following each other on LinkedIn. What I'm super excited about, and I want to learn more about, I want the audience to learn more about, is that you had over 2 decades of amazing career in IT, and then you decide to leave your corporate world and say, I'm going to go start a coaching business. Tell us more about that.
Yep, sure. So I was in IT for 22 years. Started in India, that's where I was born, and then worked around the globe, worked in London, US. So I was in US, in New York for a while, Singapore, and then came to Australia. And the limitations that I was feeling at work was not changing. The same people, the same kind of work. I think what was hurting me is I was not able to really see a growth path. For the last 5 6 years, I was pretty much doing the same thing and repeating it every 2 years. When I asked my bosses what can I do next, and the answer was, if I knew, I would have done it. So I went to boss's boss, like, what do you think I can do now? And the answer was, you have a job. Is that not enough? And it was so mind corroding for me, like, what do I do now? And I didn't have the courage as well to go and talk to people in other companies, people who were growing. So for me, it was only one option: quit, do something of your own. And that's how I decided to quit during COVID. I thought, okay, this is the best time. If not now, I won't be able to ever do it. And that's when I quit.
I have a question for you. Before you said something that you have lived in many different countries. And you've worked in many different countries, US, you said the UK, India, Australia now. How big of a difference do you see that the process of getting a job from country to country?
I don't think much different, because sitting in Australia, I'm coaching people in Singapore, in New Zealand, in India, in London, Belgium, Germany, Dubai, and US, and Canada. So I don't see much difference. There is a slight difference in Australia, though, and you can tell me if it's a difference. In Australia, like in India or in US, people look at you as a full package, like, okay, what does this person bring to the table? Whereas in Australia, have you done this? This is what we are trying to do. We are looking for somebody with very specific experience in this particular thing. Do you have it? And if the answer is yes, do you have it in Australia? Okay, this is the key difference in Australia. Other than that, in other part of the world, I haven't seen this much of specificity. Have you done this? Have you done this in Australia?
I think that's interesting because I've done career coaching primarily with people in North America, and now I've coached career coaches from all around the world, so I get their perspective and their advice, kind of similar to this conversation. But what I find is that the hiring process, because it's based on human behavior of like, it's like I am a company, I have a problem, I need to hire someone to solve that problem for me. I have limited resources, so I have to be selective on who I hire. And so that process of selecting the right person to solve a particular problem that I have is universal. And so yes, there might be some cultural changes depending on the country, and but overall it's 80+% the same. And I guess for you, and when you're saying that in Australia, it's like the reason why I would ask that, I think startups ask that a lot too. Like fast growing startups are always looking for that question. That could be anywhere in the world. And I think it's solely because you are willing to pay a little bit more for that skill set, or even way more for that skill set, but it minimizes the risk that I'm hiring the wrong person. And if you're in a very,
Possibly.
if you're in a market like in America where unemployment rate, even though it feels like the job market is crazy, unemployment rate is like less than 5%. There isn't, you can't be as picky versus if unemployment was higher. And so I mean that's my opinion. I know Ellie, I know you have a maybe different opinion in that sense.
No, I actually tend to agree, especially with my psychological background. The human behavior part is so much the same. I think, but I also think that you mentioned in Australia, do you have this exact experience and do you have it in Australia? I do think that that does also happen in America too,
Okay.
where maybe experiences that are outside of America are seen as different, if not less than. Now, do I agree with that personally? No, I don't. But I think that there might be some hiring professionals that do, whether it's conscious or unconscious, I don't know. But yeah, I could totally see how a career coach could be successful coaching clients from many different places, because we're all teaching the same thing. It's, how can you showcase your skills and abilities and competencies, and that's one slice of the pie. The other bigger slices of the pie being, can you tell stories? Are you fun to work with? Those types of things. So yeah, absolutely. I'd also be very curious too. I want to dive in a little bit deeper into you work with IT professionals specifically, which makes so much sense.
Majority.
IT
Yeah,
background.
majority.
I'd be curious, what are like some of the challenges that they face that maybe other specialties don't, or and what do you like about working with IT professionals?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they have a lot of differences in the way other industries or other professionals behave or feel or think. I've been in IT for 22 years, so it was very natural for me to get inclined to coaching them. And it was not just I wanted to coach IT professionals. For me, it was I was somebody stuck. I badly needed somebody. I couldn't look up to my boss or boss's boss or boss's boss up. I just didn't know what I would do. And I was too shy or maybe too scared of going out and talking to people. And this is what I've seen in most IT professionals. I don't know about people in legal and people in finance, how shy or how reluctant to talk to people, but in IT, it's the case. So for me, it was become somebody I needed badly. So
Yeah.
that's why I focused. And from business sense, also, it made sense to niche on something where I can claim my stake. I was doing reasonably well. I wasn't doing bad. From outside, I looked very successful. I had a team of 100, 200 people for last 10 years of my job, out of 22 years that I worked. I had respect. I had, I was made to feel valuable, just that there was no growth path in the company. So I wasn't doing bad. So when I looked at why IT, I could just relate to, and I grew in IT. My job. I mean, I started as a lecturer, then soon I moved in IT, and 22 years I worked with thousands and thousands of IT professionals. So it's something like I just feel them. I know exactly what goes in their mind, and also majority of my clients are from subcontinent India. If I didn't mention that, that's again cultural thing. So people from subcontinent India, which is India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, all of these countries, they resonate more with me. So when I look at my last 4 5 years 4 years of running this business, I would say 95% people are from subcontinent but living across the globe. So why they get attracted, one is IT. So when I talk to him, I talk their language, and the empathy is very high because I understand them. Okay, and so what happens to these 5% people who are not in IT when they come to me? And so what I say then, hey, the framework is the same. So let me tell you, let me understand what your problems are. When I talk to them, honestly, I don't see much different. But maybe naturally it has become, I've been in IT, I can empathize more with them, they get attracted more with me, and that's how 90%, 95 or more of those people working with me. But when it comes to coaching, if you understand what's going on in individual mind in terms of how they are feeling the gaps, I don't see any different. I had no problem coaching people coming from risk and governance or finance or airline. It worked the same way.
What you're saying, and I find it really interesting, is how 95% of your clients are such a very specific niche, IT, a particular area of India. And I think the part that I think works really well is 80% of career coaching, I would agree, is the same that what I teach here in America or what Ellie taught or what you teach. But that 20% is very different based on your upbringing, culturally, industry. And so when you can speak to that 20%, I don't know that there's a better coach for an Indian in that particular area of India that is looking to go into IT and make high, like with somebody with 22 years of experience. To your point, is like you have a very competitive advantage to a very, very niche audience where 99% of career coaches can't compete with you, maybe 99.9% of career coaches. And I think
Yeah,
that's extremely interesting because you understand those cultural nuances. And
yeah,
I worked with a lot of Indian students when I was doing career coaching. And one
yes,
of the things that I kind of learned, which is very similar to Colombian culture, is that we are a we culture. In America is a lot of an culture, like I did this, I did
yeah,
this. And I think the
yeah.
challenge struggling, one of the biggest things we had to help our clients overcome is that when they were going into the interview, it wasn't about giving credit to the team. You had to actually give credit to yourself. And
Own,
that's
own, yeah,
really
own it. And
right.
people don't own it. Yeah.
And they don't, it's really, it's like, we did this. And it's like, no, 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 you did that.
It's the
Uh,
same, Daniel. It's absolutely the same.
So, what advice do you have for somebody that's listening to this that might be introverted, that their default is we, but they're interviewing for a Western company that's all about I?
Yeah, so the way I have done, I think that's probably another differentiator I had is I started to think about what was not working for me and what's not working. And why, by the way, while I was at work, I was already coaching people. I was constantly coaching and mentoring people. So the main problem I saw was not so much about I and we, it was more about am I enough?
Mm.
Okay, I'm not good enough despite all the successes and the projects they have delivered and the impact they have created. It was all about I'm not sure if I'm enough. Of course, people who are at director level in big four, so EYs and Accentures and KPMGs of the world,
Hmm.
same issue. Led large built practices from scratch, ran million dollar programs, transformed multi-billion dollar government organizations, and is still feeling am I good enough? So I think the problem was more on not able to have that confidence that I have enough, whatever I have, I'm good enough to have this role. It was That's where the problem was. So I do something called discover your mountain of value exercise. So I believe if you've been in any industry for more than 10 years, you're already sitting on a mountain of value and you got to discover that. So I run an exercise where I make them look at their experience from 36 different angles. So when they fill the details, I've seen the way they come back to the session and the way they talk, it changes. They say, I went down the lane and I could realize, oh my God, I've done this much. I'm really good at this, really good at that. When I walk on the floor, I feel like I'm better than 90% of people now. So I think getting that transformation from am I good enough to have a lot changes everything. And then when they talk, now it's no more about I and we, it's about, yeah, I've done that. Yeah, I've created that impact. I helped the government save $570 million on fraud. I helped that company do this. And that's how it changes. So I never focused on doing V to I focused more on let's get your mountain of value out. Let's package it in a valuable outcome that you can present to the world. And that's made the difference.
It's so crazy what you're sharing because it doesn't never go away, and that's such a great exercise, and I'm so glad they do that. And I think like if somebody's listening to this and you have ever dealt with imposter syndrome, which is probably everyone listening to this, because I felt imposter syndrome. I think we all
we still go through that, right?
go through that. I was talking to a coach literally earlier today. So they happen to be originally from India. They have worked at companies like Deloitte, Accenture, Walmart, have been in corporate America for over 15 years, have over 30,000 followers on LinkedIn, have over 100 recommendations on their LinkedIn, and they still didn't think they were good enough to build a coaching business. I was like, excuse me? Like, I was like, no, no, no. What you can't build a coaching business until we fix the mindset. But I think what's interesting is that, at least in my perspective, those things. It's not like you go through that exercise, you fix it, and you fix it forever. It's one of those things that you go through phases in life that you have to come back and remind yourself. Because I even do that. Like I'll have like not the best month in my business, starts doubting myself. And if I don't go back and listen to my testimonials and success stories, if I don't go back and like literally keep some of the letters that some of my mentees have written me, like I start doubting myself. And if you don't believe in yourself, it's very difficult for you to have somebody else believe in you. So if you're a business owner, to buy your stuff, but if you're interviewing for a job, for them to hire you. So thank you so much for
Absolutely.
sharing that. Ellie,
Absolutely.
I'm gonna let you, because I know you have 34 questions
Come on in. Come on, bring it on.
I'm a big question asker. I'm very curious. I am specifically curious about one of the things that we're kind of talking about right now, which is what is the purpose of an interview? Because one of the things I just coached one of my clients on recently was when you're in the interview, all you don't need to convince them that you have the skills and competencies. Your resume has already done that. What you instead need to do is bring your resume to life through storytelling. I guess I'm curious, is that still the case in the IT profession as well? Because I imagine you have to have great technical expertise too. Maybe you have to prove that with some kind of technical assessment. But what about in interviews? You know, is it still very
Absolutely.
technical, or is it still relational storytelling?
If you like, I'll share with you some real good, powerful secrets of powerful interviews.
Oh,
we
yes.
love secrets.
So three things I teach people. Number one, you are not an interviewee in the interview. You are a consultant. You are a consultant. And you have been consultant all your life, haven't you been? Yeah, of course. That's what we do. And you are a good consultant, isn't it? Oh, yeah. So what does a good consultant do? Get to understand the problem. All right. So you ask questions, don't you? Yeah. So if you start to ask question, don't just go and start. I ask people, how are you thinking of approaching the interview? Oh, it depends on the interviewer. I said, no, 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 no. It depends on you. You ask right question. Did you had a JD? Yes. Do you understand it really well? Kind of, but which means you have questions. Yes. Can't you ask those questions from the very beginning? So get as clear as possible. Think of them as a problem, or they have a problem. They're looking at you as potential solution. And you don't start giving a solution. You go to a GP, the general practitioner, and you say, I have pain in my stomach. They don't take up an injection and give it to you. They ask you questions, right? It's the same thing you do. You ask questions. So when you start to do that, you go with consulting mindset, two things happen. One, you start to set up yourself as somebody who's thinking, who's asking good questions. And the next thing that kicks in is even more powerful. There's a dynamics, buyer-seller dynamics happening in any conversation. So if you go like that and they ask you a question and you answer, and you are answering to sell yourself, you're trying to prove that you are the one. So you are a seller. But when you ask a question, when you go with a consultant mindset, when you ask questions, who's answering? They. Who's the buyer? You. The dynamics changed. You are in more power status. You become the buyer. And once you become the buyer and you have that consultant mindset, the dynamics has changed. It's a conversation. It's no more you're trying to just answer. So you don't have any fear because you're a consultant, you are asking good question, and you have so much of experience. You can talk of any specific experience in alignment with the problem they are talking about. So you're cool. You know, prepare, fine, you prepare, but when you are in the interview, you are in control, aren't you? Yeah. What else is missing for you to be in control? You have not really packaged your story really well. So let me teach you three breadcrumbs. So first is consultant, second is buyer, third one is breadcrumbs. You drop three breadcrumbs, three most powerful experiences from your work that align to what they're looking for. Now you have trapped them with those three breadcrumbs. Because when you drop those three breadcrumbs, you don't go all out and talk anything and everything about those three scenarios. You give them a glimpse of those three scenarios. So you started as a consultant, you became a buyer, you dropped the three breadcrumbs, you have completely trapped the other side. You cannot not win an interview.
I love this so much, and I can confirm that if you do this, you would get hired. I have been recently helping one of our clients hire. So I've been going through resumes, going back to it, and we've hired like dozens of people for my company. And I love when it's a conversation and when the other side is asking me questions, because it makes me feel like they're good. Like it makes me feel like they also need to make the decision. Like me offering them a job doesn't guarantee that they're gonna say yes. And so if I really think about this, like there's no such thing as a long term relationship if it's not mutually beneficial. And so if I'm the
Absolutely.
one asking all the questions, I'm trying to identify if this is going to be a good relationship for me, and the other person didn't get to ask questions. How are they going to know that working for Opni is a good fit for them? And if they don't know, how can they tell me that they're going to be here for at least 2 years? They can't.
Yeah.
Not possible. It's not. And so when they act like the consultant and they're acting like the buyer and they're giving me that information, it makes me want them more. And in fact, I could tell you, at a business owner and from a hiring manager at a Fortune 50 company point of view, it is very difficult to find the right people. And when you find them, you just want them. And so I love it because it feels like the companies always have all the leverage. And that's really not the case when you are hiring, because you're like desperate to find good talent. And so that's really brilliant. And thank you so much for sharing that.
And I helped them actually prepare their story, these three breadcrumbs, really well. And we exchange that on WhatsApp. So I would make them record it, send it to me, uh, give feedback back and forth. It takes sometimes three times, sometimes 10, sometimes 15. Sometimes people feel like, what are you making me do? I said, just this one can change the game.
As we mentioned at the top of the episode, you're Australia's top ranked career coach. What's the story behind achieving that recognition?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's more about the visibility on LinkedIn. Um, one was this was the Fevicon thing. It was number two Australian career coach. That was from Fevicon, and then there was another company which rated me as something I forgot. It was another Australian company. So I think it's more the visibility plus the other company had also talked to some of my past clients. Yeah, I would say consistently being out there is the main thing.
Yeah. I could tell you, I think you do a really good job with your content, and even the way that the advice that you've shared with us has been incredible. So, probably not luck that you received those accolades, and so congratulations on your success. And I always love it when, like, for example, you have this great corporate background and then this passion for coaching, and you find this place that it overlaps. That's incredible. So, Isan, as we wrap it up, if people listening to this podcast want to learn more about what working with you looks like, or how to get to connect with you, ask you any additional questions, where can they find you? And tell us a little bit more about your services.
So I'm on LinkedIn 7 days a week, and I read all my messages. So LinkedIn DM would be the best way to reach out. In terms of services, I what I don't do is, hey, can you help me with resume? Can you help me with interview? Can you help me with this or that? I don't do. And the reason being, I don't feel like I have the full accountability of getting the outcome somebody want. And you know, Daniel, or you know, Ellie, resume or interview or this or that is not the answer. It's the end-to-end approach that makes the difference. And even if they have everything, the resume, the interview, everything, they may not have the tenacity to continue going when things go wrong. So my service is about outcome. What are you up to? So I'm stuck in this role. I want to get to the next role. All right, let's do it together. And of course, I run a program which is about 3 months long, but we could achieve the outcome before. We could achieve the outcome in more than 3 months as well. So I contract with people to get the outcome, not to give a thing or two things. If that makes
Love it.
sense.
Love it. No, absolutely. I agree with you. I think that If you're truly here for the impact, I think that just doing someone's resumes and telling them like and thinking that that's going to solve all your problems, it's actually doing them a disservice because in fact it's not just the resume. Resumes is a component of it, but the overall strategy, the networking, the interviewing, the salary negotiation. To me, a good career coach is one that helps you through the whole process. So I am totally in agreement with you on that, and so
Yeah.
you should
So
probably know why you have
yeah.
such great success with your clients.
So there are two things here, Daniel. One is what's happening today, um, and this is also another interesting aspect of what I do. So one is, of course, we have been talking about my background that relates to them. The second one is the philosophy that I bring to the table, and it's very, very highly influenced by Reid Hoffman. If you have read the book The Startup of You,
Hmm.
that's where my influence comes from. And the only difference is Reid Hoffman probably would not have gone through the employment challenges that I have gone through or my clients are going through. But the whole idea of this is a startup of you is the game changer. A lot of people look at as, oh, I have been a senior project manager, so I should now get a program manager role. I have been a director, so I should become a partner. So it's a very narrow thinking on because I'm this, I should get that. Business doesn't work that way. Okay, you are a business on your own. Even if you are running a career, you're running a business and you provide a service to a company. So you need to ask yourself, why me? Rather than I was this, I have having this role for 5 years and hence I should have the next role. It doesn't work that way. So this whole idea of it's you are running a business of you, hence you should focus on niching yourself. You should focus on having your value proposition right. And you should also target a market. Google may be good for somebody else. It may not be good for you based on your aspirations. It may be a mid-tier company would be better for you because they will see more value in you than Google will see. So those aspects are very important that I teach people. So why I was bringing this here is it's not about just getting the next job. How do you start thinking of your career in a way you can have a successful career for number of years that you're going to work. If I just teach you how to get the job, you will get the job. 6 months later you would have exactly the same problem you were having before. So in
Yeah.
terms of service, of course, I help them get to the next level, but I give them an overall roadmap. It's no more a job. If you're coming to get a job for me, maybe I'll be able to help you, but you will not get the best out of me. If you're
Yeah.
thinking of building a career, you will get the best out of me. So I help them get to the next level. And then the next thing I do is provide them a 12 months executive support where I make sure they're not losing the momentum and they're building assets for their career growth rather than just getting the next job. So that's pretty much what I do at this point in time.
No, that's amazing. We're gonna put a link to your LinkedIn on the show notes so that people can reach out to you and work with you. I think that working
Yep.
with you and the way you think about it, it's like it's not a job, right? Yeah, yeah, you're helping them get a job, sure, but it's one part of a bigger long term strategy for their career. So
Yeah, and they don't have to. Yeah, most people don't have to immediately think of working with me. I've created a lot of resources based on the philosophy, based on the framework that I have developed. So they can download say they can take a quiz, which is there on my LinkedIn profile, that rates them on the key parameters required to grow in their career. I've written a guide based on that. So there's a lot of resources that I have. They can reach out to me for those resources.
yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. No, Hassan, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge, for being here. If you are listening to this podcast and you haven't liked and subscribed, don't forget to do so. And see you guys on the next episode. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Daniel. Really appreciate for inviting me on your podcast, man. Take care.